Hi there, and welcome to the second issue of our gas membrane installation NVQ Level 2 bite-sized training. I'm Neil Selvage, and welcome to those that are joining us for the first time. Thanks for all those that followed the first link that we sent out. So here's issue 2 for us to follow up how we're getting on. So today what we're going to do is look at our first National Occupational Standard, which falls into Unit 612, which is preparing to install gas membranes. The information that we're going to look at today is relating to work and resources. So it's a lot of your initial setup, the things that you should be doing prior to setting foot on site, that you're doing everything according to guidance and regulations. And there's a lot of safety that falls into place here as well. So when we look at the first National Occupational Standard, we've got one unit here with 4 sub-units in it. And you can see that the first 2 units, they lead with the word interpretation and comply. So for me, in an assessor's role, I would be expecting to observe and see this happening. So it's you working using a drawing, by whatever means, we'll look at that in a moment, and comply with the information. So you're doing what you're told to do. So that's going to be the first part of this presentation. Then we'll look at the other 2 parts later on. So one of the first things I'm going to ask you is, have you got a set of drawings? Do you understand what you're doing? Where you're putting your membrane? Where does it sit in the building? How does it all fit together? So seeing sections like we can see there on the left, is quite key. There'd be product specification in there as well, naming what product goes where. On the right, we can see a plan of a building. So this is quite key to know where you're actually going to be working, and you might want to keep records of your sequence of work as you go through, or a site manager might ask you to start on some areas and move to other areas because of other working activities. So whether you've got these in a hard copy, which is quite unusual nowadays, but you might have them on an iCloud or a PDF file that's been sent to you through your office, or even getting them from the site managers or the engineers on site, because that information is critical. We also look at the specifications. So the product that you're putting in, does it match what's going in the ground and what's been specified on the drawing? So you will see something like this data sheet here. It's got a lot of technical data, but also some of the products you might be using will also have safety data that's attached to them. So understanding what the manufacturer's got, their information that they give you, you must be able to relate that to the product that you're putting in, and they must match up. Okay. We also work to RAM. So I often ask people on site, have you got your RAMs? Yep, got them. What does RAM stand for? It's your paperwork. Well, the RAMs is a risk assessment and method statement. So it identifies the risks associated with your task, and it also puts into place controls for those risks. So you must be aware of them. So when you go for induction, don't just sign off that you're happy with everything, because there could be something in there that isn't right for that project. So be mindful of that, and we will review risk assessments as we go through a project. Likewise, your method statement is quite critical, because that's going to identify your working method. Again, I want to confirm that you're working to the method that you're told to work to, not deviating off and doing your own thing. This is more critical when our verifiers come into play to inspect the work, because they will be expecting a working method as stipulated previous. We've also got site-specific rules. So when you turn up, we get a lot of signage, as you can see there, but also you're expected to do a site induction. How many hours have we all spent in an office? Some of them are very good, some of them are very poor. But that's your point to ask questions, to understand what's going on, know the key personnel on site, and they will cover a lot of the mandatory requirements that we're going to look at in these initial units of the NVQ2. So be aware of what's going on in that induction, because I do like to sit in and observe inductions as well. I have to do them to get on site to observe you. We also have one where more contractors now are offering a download, where you can log on, register pre-enrollment they call it, so you can do your induction before you get to site, reducing the time you need to spend in that site office doing a full-on induction. You just do a basic one. So let's lead on to the final 2 sections here of the 4 units. So we've got 1.3 and 1.4. These are led by state and describe. So as I've written there, their knowledge, it's questioning you that you understand what you're doing. So what we've seen in the earlier units, you will be able to describe that to me, that you understand it and you're competent to carry that forward. Yeah. We also look at reporting information. So communication is quite key throughout all our working day. We're doing it all the time quite naturally, but we've got modern technology there today, phone calls to people, sending emails, but face-to-face and site contact, we've got a team there having a chat about something on site. Lots of things get said, but recording them, is that a procedure you have to do for everything? Some things yes, some things no. Going back to emails, a very good way of recording information and keeping it available should it be needed later on, where somebody's asked you to carry out a task. It might require that there's additional payment. You might have to change risk assessments. You might have to change method statements. So understanding how you're going to communicate that in the reporting procedures within your company. We also follow your company's policies and procedures. So various companies have varying levels. Obviously, bigger companies will have a lot more thorough sections. I've just listed there some of the sections that are stated in companies' policies, but certainly a health and safety policy is mandatory. And also the environmental policy will be, pretty important to you guys. When you started with your company, were you inducted, were you made aware of all your company's policies and procedures? Smaller companies might have a smaller set of policies and procedures. So just be mindful, it's worth asking where they're held. Have you got access to them? Should you need to question them? Or should I ask you anything on it? You might have to go away and research it and bring it back to the assessment. But it's all about safety. Safety is the first thing we must do. So before we even get on site, making sure everything is in place is a pretty key role. So hopefully that helps in that first unit. Quite a small snapshot, but leads us in hopefully for the next unit, which is legislation and official guidance. So I'm hoping to get that out next week, next Monday to you. Some people have asked me about an overall NVQ assessment presentation. So I'm just going to work on that. I might pop that one up in between, and I've called it training with a small t, just because the NVQ does state it's on-site assessment and training. Now, it's not the assessor's role to train the learners. It's the assessor's role to assess. So I'm going to try and break that one down. So look out for that one. That's going to be coming out very soon, hopefully. I'll get something up on the YouTube channel for that. So in the meantime, there's all my contact details as usual. Again, thanks for listening. Any questions, by all means, give us a shout, email, call. We're there, always ready to take a call or try and get a quick response to any questions you have. So look forward to seeing you all next time round. And again, thanks for your time for listening to this first unit, and see you next time.